Good evening and welcome to Speedway, Indiana, just outside of Indianapolis, to the greatest race course in the world, the Brickyard, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. For tonight's championship online racing teams, Trading Paints 500K. My name's Tony Stevens, joined alongside tonight Al Smith as the field begins to roll off from their grid positions. Let's take you down the starting lineup for tonight's 125-lap, 500-kilometer contest. On the pole, the 08 machine of Alex Buffoli. On the outside of him, the 25 of Scott Mullen.
Starting in row number 2 is the 06 of Riley Roush. Outside of him, the 03 of Jacob Neuven.
Nate Smith has the 5 car in position 5, and Andrew Hess starts 6th.
Starting 7th will be the 22T of Andrew Hess. Outside of him, the number 10 of Julian Medor. 8th starting spot will be the number 10 of Julian Medor. And starting 9th, the number 30 of Corey Stevens.
Tyler Tucker will be row number 5, as well with John Dragonetti. Brian Sullivan rolls off in, Eli Salami rolls off in, the 12th spot. Brian Sullivan in the same row as him. Matt Harrington, Kyle Young make up row number 7. It's Andrew Hayes and Cody McCorkle starting side by side, 15th and 16th. Brett Black and Stephen Taylor, 17th and 18th. And the 10th row of the night, going to be Joseph Cervoni and Chris Sweat. Al?
Wayne Lamech Jr. will start 21st. Outside of him, in the 22nd starting spot is John Martin. Starting 23rd will be John Eckert. To his outside, the 57 of Jeff Gilmore. Patrick Gilley will start 25th, 26th, Robert Hill Jr., and shotgun on the field, Troy McLagan.
Field circulating at reduced speed, about 70 miles per hour as we get ready to fire, or we've already fired them up, but we get ready to roll them off of turn number 4. One of the most anticipated, breathtaking, and spectacular sights in all of auto racing, replicated right here to perfection via the iRacing software, as the pace car will make that hard left-hand turn. 27 IndyCar machines ready to roll, 220-plus miles per hour. Here they come, down to the yard of bricks, waiting for the green flag. Green flag is out, and we're racing in Indianapolis.
Jumping out to your early race lead will be Alex Buffoli out there in position number 1, already up to 220 miles an hour as they head down the backstretch, headed to turn number 3.
Battle for seconds behind him, Scott Mullen and Riley Roush getting into it. Mullen started outside pole. He's going to relinquish that spot. He'll fall back to 3rd now as they work off turn number 4 to complete lap number 1, already in the books. Remember, 125 the distance here tonight. It is Buffoli, Roush, and Mullen. The top 3 behind them. Oh, it's a hornet's nest, Neuven and company, but look up front. Roush hounding the gearbox of your leader, Alex Buffoli, as they work the short stretch.
Right to the back bumper. He's just a little bit off, trying to work the draft as they work down the back stretch. It is Roush trying to dog Alex Buffoli down in the turn number 3. Single
file through most of the field as they work down that long 5/8 of a mile back straightaway here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Off of turn 4 once again, 2 laps going to go in the books this time. Buffoli now seems to have pretty much cemented himself in front as the leader. Roush has yet to be able to do anything with him. That pair pulling away from the rest of the field as they work off into turn number 1. But Roush, Al, he keeps sticking that wing down just a little bit each time they go into a corner. It's almost like he's thinking about trying to make some sort of attempt on Buffoli, but just does not seem to have the momentum nor the run to get alongside of him.
Trying to use the aerodynamics of the front wing, maybe trying to get a little bit more downforce, trying not to get an aero push as they hit 3 and 4, as you see Buffoli once again tucking the nose down just a little bit lower than the race leader as they work down the front stretch to click off lap number 3.
Riding on board, Riley Roush in that 06 machine in that 2nd spot. You see exactly what he sees out of the cockpit of that race car as they work down the south end of the speedway now, working back up the back straightaway once again. This field already stringing itself out fairly considerably throughout the rest of the field. As we said, single file through most of the running order. It is Buffoli, Roush, and Mullen now in the third spot. Jacob Newman has held on to fourth, Nate Smith fifth. Midori, Dragonetti, Andrew Hess, Tyler Tucker, and Eli Salami. Now he is going to be in the 10th spot as the field already spread out by in excess of 10 seconds through most of the field. Is well, that's a pretty large gap here at Indianapolis. Pretty much a quarter of a lap separates the field after only 4 circuits are complete.
The blistering pace up front that last time by for your race leader ran a 40.475 lap time. So these guys are getting it done, hauling the mail around the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. And it's been Buffoli since the green flag is dropped. But he better not slip up because Riley Roush is right there ready to make a mistake.
A little bit further back from there, you got Julian Midori in that 5th spot now. He's under fire. Jacob Newman trying to reclaim a spot. He'll work on the outside, and here they are, 3 wide, briefly down the front straightaway. Nate Smith in that red number 5 car trying to make a move. He'll be to the inside in turn number 1. Gives Smith the spot. Midori going to be forced to try to fight back on the outside. He'll nearly catch the wall off turn number 2. They'll fight wheel to wheel off the second corner once again.
Down the backstretch, still side by side. Down the backstretch, 2 rows deep as they look to try to get by. Number 14 of Dragonet has the inside line into turn numbers 3, trying to put a move on the number 5 of Nathan Smith for your 5th position.
Good battle here, about 6-7 cars all trying to fight it out for that 4th spot on back. You see one car pull out of line. That is Jacob Newman. He was up at about that 4th spot a few laps ago. Now he is fighting back, trying just to stay in touch with that group he was once a part of. No luck that time as he ducked down low, trying to maybe get a run. He'll tuck back in line as they work off turn number 2. Meanwhile, off of turn number 2, here goes Dragonetti. He thought about trying to find a way around Nate Smith, and now down the back straightaway, he'll pull out of the line. He's got the run. He'll get the position to turn number 3. And yes, give that one to Dragonetti as they work the south end of the race, or the north end of the racetrack.
This battle happened in just about 3.5 seconds behind your race leaders, who have a 2-second lead over 3rd place of Mullen. So this is the hottest battle on the speedway as they work down the front stretch across the yard of bricks. Down in the turn number 1. Smith back on the inside of Dragonetti. Can't make it work off turn number 1. He'll tuck it back in line through turns 2, working down the long back straightaway. Side-by-side battle back there. Cars all over yellow out on the speedway.
Trouble out on the racetrack. It looks like Wayne Lemke Jr., the 24 car, has met his end, and it was not light. In fact, there were a couple of cars involved. Lemke and Cody McCorkle. McCorkle pounded the outside wall. He got upside down, flipping violently, and somehow, some way, actually 3 cars involved. There's another car caught the tail end of it. That is Jeff Gilmore in the 57 that caught a piece of it as well. But a 3-car pileup in the south end of the racetrack, Al, and things were very large right there. It looked like Corkle just kind of got sucked into the outside wall, and Wayne Lemke really had nowhere to go when that happened.
Definitely not, and it was starting to get go time. As you said, those guys almost 22 seconds behind your race leader, half a track, so it was go time, or worry about getting lapped only 9 laps into this 125 lap affair.
Certainly something you want to do. Make sure you keep yourself on the lead lap as you work towards the end of the race, or at least keep the car one piece for that matter. I think that's been pretty much the modus operandi for everybody in this field so far, is to make sure that car stays in one piece as it gets closer and closer to the end, so you've got some sort of horse to ride with to the finish of this one. Hasn't been a problem, though, for Alex Buffoli and Riley Roush. They have paced the field since the drop of the green flag. Scott Mullen, John Dragonetti, and Nate Smith now being scored as the top 5. And once that caution came out, that group was all side by side. Looks like scoring will settle them like this through the rest of the top 10. Andrew Hess, Tyler Tucker, Julian Midori, Jacob Newman, and Eli Salami in the 10th spot in that 02 machine. Rest of the running order to the top 15 includes Matt Harrington, Brian Sullivan, Stephen Taylor, Andrew Hayes, and Brett Black. And it looks like the entire field already, with only 8 laps complete, most everyone appears to be coming down pit road for service, but we'd anticipate out to be 4 tires and a full tank of methanol.
As your race leader, Alex Buffoli, works down pit road at a slow 54 miles an hour, talking to the crew, looking over their options. surprising that some of these guys would give up, the top spots. Some of the guys out back staying on the racetrack for track position. So it'd be interesting to see what is adjustments these drivers will make during the pit stop.
So it appears service now completing for most, if not all, teams. And in fact, Buffoli going to win the race off of, check that, no he will not. Riley Roush going to win the race off the pit lane. Quick service by the 06 crew, and then Dragonetti and Buffoli fighting it out for position. It appears Buffoli lost 2 spots in the course of that pit stop exchange. Tough break for the driver of the 08 machine. He's going to have a little bit of work cut out for him. Nate Smith, Tyler Tucker, and Matt Harrington, the rest of the field, and so on as they exited the pit lane. Track position pretty key, it seems like, here tonight, Al. You want to make sure you're in a good group of cars that you can possibly slice and dice your way to the front of, but you don't want to get stuck behind a guy that is just enough slower that you can't get by him.
And you saw that early in the race. You had the top 2 cars that seemed to be the class of the field so far here early tonight in the Trading Paints 500K. And, it's definitely important to get your track position, as Indy always plays a definite role here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
Certainly does. Well, we are still early in the running of the Trading Paints 500K here from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway Championship Online Racing Teams event. We'll be right back after a few words. Well, that was a quick break. It was just enough time for us to wet our whistle and scarf down a couple of snacks. Why? Because we're getting ready to go racing once again. Pace car is off. Andrew Hess, Julian Midori, Jacob Newman, Eli Salami, Stephen Taylor, John Martin all stayed out. So did Corey Stevens. Top 7 on old tires. Looks like Riley Roush and company are going to have to somehow carve their way back to the front of this field. And you can tell already it is going to be a very tall task, as the separation between the top 5-6 cars already 2 seconds and change as they work down the back straightaway out for the first lap after the restart.
Definitely, it's good to clean off, good restart. Everybody single file as they head through turns 3 and 4 to click off this restart, getting the cars back up to speed. And interesting strategy for the guys that stayed out so far. Now if we get a long green run, they're going to have to pit a little bit sooner than the guys that just came in, changed 4 tires, and topped off their tanks. But it is a long race here tonight at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. So interesting to see how much of a tires will play a role, as we got 1 car high up on the speedway off turn number 2.
That was the number 12, it appeared, of John Martin, way up the racetrack, up on the loose stuff. He let the cars of Corey Stevens, Riley Roush go by, and I think Alex Buffoli maneuvered his way around as well. Looks like Martin realizing that what he did on that pit stop strategy isn't going to work out for him. However, Roush, who was leading, well, he and Buffoli, both who were leading this race, they're already mired back in traffic, over 3 seconds off the lead. As we were just saying under that caution flag out, track position seems to be king. Hess, Midori, and Newman all stayed out. They have pulled away from this group some 3 seconds already in just a couple of laps.
And the key that I'm noticing here is, even though they get runs on each other, they keep it in line. Nobody really wanting to pull it out, as we see Medora right to the back bumper of the number 22 of Andrew Hess, but not quite wanting to put a move on the number 22 of Hess yet is Medora and Newman, just sitting there, rookie in tonight's Indy 500K here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. He'll take a look down low as they head down to turn number 1. Newman into your number 2 position.
So Newman, move him up to the runner-up spot as they worked into that first corner this time. And Newman feeling a little bit racy, but I think Julian Midori's veteran status here on the iRacing sim pretty much said, just let him go and go ahead and let him get that position. I'll sit back here in third and ride because I don't want to burn up my tires, number 1. Number 2, burn excess fuel. And number 3, and probably most importantly, lose valuable time, but caution is out. We've got trouble on the speedway once again. It's John Dragonetti. He was running in the 11th spot. Dragonetti in the middle of a 3-wide situation in turn number 3. Touched wheels and it was up into the safer barrier, Al.
It looks like also involved with the number 12 of John Martin, as we saw him slipping through the field earlier, as it looked like the 14 of Dragonetti just spun out in front of him. So tough break for the number 12 of John Martin.
And it looked like Robert Hill Jr. caught a piece of it at the very end. Don't know exactly what he was thinking, but he was up in the outside wall trying to somehow squeeze between Dragonetti and the fence. Don't really know what he was thinking there, but damage to that pink and white Dr. Pepper machine. So tough break as well for Robert Hill Jr. You see the replay there on your screen exactly what happened, and you see how it was pretty much a matter of Dragonetti thought he had a little more room, it looked like, than what he actually did.
Yeah, he cut down going in the corner, just trying to stay inside the groove, because you get outside where the racetrack turns to a lighter gray and the car just wants to push, and he just tucked it a little bit too close on the number 55 of Tyler Tucker, and around she went.
So tough break for sure for John Dragonetti. It looked like he might have a car that was very capable of finishing in the top 10, if not the top 5. Everything went his way, but I guess now it will not be in either of those positions, as Dragonetti's day essentially going to be done. It looks like in the 24th spot, where he will unofficially be scored. A couple of drivers coming down pit road. Jacob Neuven, your second place machine, coming down to the attention of the crew, and he is one of the only real leaders that decided to come down pit road. Hess and Medor stayed out. Looked like Taylor stayed out as well. Buffoli can inherit the 4th spot once all this cycles around. Everybody else behind him, it's going to be, well, one heck of a shooting match, because here comes Salami in, here comes, not Patrick Healy, Corey Stevens in for service, Tucker is in, Brett Black, Chris Sweat, Johnny Eckert, Robert Hill Jr., as we would expect, many others all in for service, and it looks like a variety of strategies, Al. We've seen tires, we've seen fuel only, everybody on a different sort of idea as to what it's going to take to get to the front of this race at this juncture, it appears.
It looked like Neuven took coming in from your second place. He is in the pit. He took 4 tires and filled her up with some Sunoco race fuel and ethanol, and we're ready to go back out on the racetrack in his blockbuster Indiana Jones IndyCar as he works off a pit road on the access road. A lot of...
And tell us a little bit about that paint scheme, because that is a pretty cool looking car, Al.
It's Indiana Jones, and what can I say? One of the best movies out there with Harrison Ford in it. Blockbuster on board for the Indy Trading Paints Indy 500K for Jacob Neuven, and whoever painted that car did a heck of a job.
It is a pretty cool looking wrap on the Jacob Neuven machine, no doubt about that. I always like seeing movie-themed cars. Those are always pretty doggone cool, especially when you get an artist that can pretty much bring that film to life on the side of something that goes as fast as an Indy car. That takes a special talent. Anybody can make them look good on paper, but to make them look good in reality, well, that's an entirely different task. So field continues to circulate under yellow. We anticipate we'll get the 1-to-go signal this time by as they come across the starter stand. 16 laps going to be in the books, off to a little bit of a slow start in this one. Anticipated this to be a fairly quick race, but so far not quite the case. A couple of early yellows slowing things down, and something I think some of these drivers need to consider, and probably they'll start to remember before it's all said and done here, Al. In order to finish first, you must first finish, and really the 2 accidents we've seen so far, pretty much the result of a couple of drivers pushing the issue maybe before they should have comfortably done so.
And I think that's brought on by the tactic of having to have track position, knowing that on fresh tires you need to have as much track position as you can, as it looks like our race leader had a little bit of electrical issues through turns 1 and 2 underneath the pace. Lights are out on the pace car, so we'll be going back green off of turn number 4. But absolutely, and this being the 6th running, we do have some previous winners in the race. And one that we've talked a lot about so far tonight is Alex Buffoli. So he's got it done back in 2013 in this race.
You say that like it's so long ago, Al, 2013, but It's very hard to win a race here in Indianapolis. I don't care if it's a simulated race, a physical race, whatever the case is. There's something about winning here at Indy in a longer event in an IndyCar that it really takes something special. It's not just something where you wheel it off the trailer, have the fastest car, go dominate. It really takes some luck. It takes some skill, and it takes a little bit of cojones as well to make things happen.
You gotta have, as they say, your cards fall in the right way here at Indianapolis to get into victory lane. The weather is beautiful here today at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, a cool 78 degrees with a slight wind to the north at 2 miles per hour. And if that wind does kick up at all, it's going to throw these drivers for a little bit of a loop, because that can upset the car and make it handle a lot different.
Does it really change that much though, Al? I mean, it's 2 miles an hour. It can't be that much, right? I mean, these things they're not exactly sail panels on wheels like, say, Camping World truck is.
It will. I mean, that moves from north to south, it's going to affect the car in the north end. It's going to make the cars feel a little bit light, push up a little bit, and as the pace car peels off, we're going back green here at Indianapolis.
So field coming down very slowly at about 60 miles per hour. Andrew Hess bringing him down. And here we go, back up through the gearbox once again. Hess going to lead him off into turn number 1, but he's got company. Julie Medor is right there in his back gearbox. So is Steven Taylor. And again, the top 3 going to try to check out on the field. Surprisingly, Alex Buffoli, at least not at this very moment, quite up to speed with those guys. And look at Midori. He peeked to the inside briefly down the back straightaway. He'll push Andrew Hess down the backside. Midori and Hess trying to bump draft here in Indianapolis.
That's something you don't normally see, is too many cars bump drafting down the backstretch, but I don't know if you could have fit a piece of paper between those two cars as they come off the front stretches. Now it looks like Steven Taylor starting to draw in on your top 2, but it is Medor right to the back wing of the number 22 of Hess as they work through turns 1 and 2.
Midori has kind of backed off now briefly. Not sure if that was just a shot to get Hess up to speed or exactly what it was, but it certainly sent the message to Andrew Hess that you need to get going. You better get hustling, or I'm going to go by you, because I am certainly in a hurry to get somewhere, even though that might be the same yard of bricks that I started. But Julia Midori delivering the message. He peaks down low again in the north end of the speedway. Nothing there as they work off turn number 4. Midori close enough maybe to mount a challenge this time. He'll tuck back in line. He thinks about it. You can see that car maneuvering, maybe out of line. But no, he will stay in line as they cross the stripe once again. Midori looks very racy. And I wonder how much of this is Julia Midori, A, saving his stuff, and B, not letting the rest of the field know just how much he really has underneath the back panel of that number 10 machine.
Right now, as they're early in the race, you don't really want to show your cards, as right now Hess has a mirror full of the number 10 of Medor as they work through the corner. Medor just running slightly below the line of your race leader of Hess. They work through 3 and 4 down the front stretch here. But don't look now. Look who has come into the picture. Your top 4 cards underneath the blanket as Alex Buffoli has reeled them in on such a slow start as he did on the restart, but he has closed in on your top 3.
Buffoli has, in fact, made use of that draft, that slipstream, whatever you want to call it. And now what was a 3-car dance is now a 4-car tango. Didn't know that tangos could have 4 people, did you? Nope, but they can with race cars, because that's just how it works here at Indianapolis. So now 4 cars breaking away from the field. Riley Roush all by his lonesome 2 seconds behind this group. And then it's another second or so back to Nate Smith, who's got a second and a half back to 7th place. Matt Harrington and company. Lap traffic already in front. That's a damaged car, and that nearly gave a little bit of a moment for some of these drivers. It appears to be, well, who is that actually? Well, it's hard to actually see who that was. Jeff Gilmore in the 57. He's being shown, 7 laps in arrears right now. That car very, very out of shape. It wouldn't surprise me if we see him up into the outside safety barrier once again. But a little bit of a moment for your leaders there, Al. That could have been very disastrous if things went wrong.
You saw they didn't know which way the 57 was going to go, and Andrew Hess leading that 4-car slipstream around the Indianapolis Motor Speedway had to make the decision. And if someone was trying to take a pass there, that could have been very disastrous, ending up with your 4 top leaders in trouble. But they keep it clean and green so far as the 4-car tango, as you called it, Tony, is working around the speedway as we are clicking off laps here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
I guess we could call it a square dance, but I've never really seen 4-car square dance. That'd be kind of difficult. Buffoli almost caught a piece of the turn 2 wall that time. Picked up a major push trying to get by Steven Taylor. Had to crack the throttle. Although he didn't lose a lot of ground, he did lose just a little bit, enough to separate that group by about 6-8 car lengths as a whole. And on top of that, I'm starting to wonder if Andrew Hess is not holding this group up, Al. You see him begin to push up on entry, push up on exit. It's almost like that 22 car is not handling the way he would desire. And Julian Medore is trying to be very, very patient and stay behind him so as not to lose more time. But I'm almost beginning to think that maybe if he were to get by the 22, it would actually be faster for the group.
Possibly, but right now we are running side by side as we're going to go on board with your second place runner, looking at your race leader in front of him. That's Julian Medore, as we're on board through turns 3 and headed into the turn 4 through the short chute. Got to start wondering, is he just following him? Is he going to save his tires, save some fuel, get some fuel mileage from running in the slipstream? As you see, the top 4 cars not really wanting to dance it up too much, start to chop it up, as they have opened up the gap to just over 3.5 seconds over your 5th place runner of Riley Roush back there in position number 5. So starting to wonder if these guys are just going to ride it out, as we are on lap 25. 100 circuits left to go in this Trading Paints 500K here in the Champion Online Racing team.
And already I've noticed from this group that the 08 of Alex Buffoli, who was right there in the gearbox of Steven Taylor a little bit ago, he has fallen back slightly off this group. He's not exactly out of touch yet, but he has fallen back just a tad. Is that Buffoli realizing this group is going to have to pit relatively soon? Or maybe, just maybe, is Buffoli's car not set up to run in traffic? Then maybe he take the gamble that he was going to be out front for most of this race, do you think?
Well, Tony, as you alluded to earlier, you saw the race leader start to have that pushing situation as yellow comes out onto the speedway.
Yes, caution out for the 3rd time here tonight. Don't see any cars actually in trouble at the moment. Maybe Corey Stevens, it looks like, expired an engine possibly. We'll have to see exactly what the story is on that. It looks like it's not anything to do with Stevens, but we'll figure out exactly what did happen. But either way, 3rd caution of the afternoon is here, and that's a blessing if you're Andrew Hess, Julian Medore, and Steven Taylor. That gamble that they took at the first yellow of the night, well, guess what? I got a feeling everybody will be down pit road this time, and now they've put themselves in prime position to have a shot at winning this race.
Definitely going to see some interesting pit strategies. As I don't know how much tires seem to play a difference. As we know that the 4th place runner, Buffoli, he has fresher tires and couldn't really do anything with the top 3. So I wonder how many gas and goes we're going to get this time in the pit lane. The guys in the back trying to get pit position.
Yeah, I think you might see some guys try it, but I don't know if now exactly would be the time. Figured out what happened with our caution flag. The number 92 machine of Troy McLagan. He in the turn 1 wall met an unfortunate ending. McLagan looked like it was really hard to tell whether he just lost control getting into turn number 1 or exactly what happened, but either way, he caught the grass, overcorrected, and up into the outside wall he went, effectively ending his evening. So scratch another one off the running list here tonight in Troy McLagan. Tough break for the number 92 machine.
Leaders are all starting to come down pit road. They peel off the racetrack down onto pit road, all following the 22 of Andrew Hess. As Buffoli stays out onto the speedway, he'll take over your race lead. Riley Roush up in your number 2 spot also stayed out. Now those drivers did stay out earlier came in earlier in the event, as your race leader of Andrew Hess had stayed out onto the speedway for track position, but now peels off into it as they both, Medore and Hess, hit their pit.
Very surprised that not everybody came down pit road. I thought that was a long enough run maybe to dictate that you would come down pit road. Either way, Andrew Hess is away. So is the number 10 machine of Julian Medore. And it looks like Medore is going to win that battle off the pit lane, albeit by a couple of inches. Nate Smith and the number 5 machine immediately behind them. Matt Harrington, Stephen Taylor coming off what appears to be 5th off the pit lane, Andrew Hayes and Brian Sullivan. So while the field gets everything set, that means Alex Buffoli going to end up the leader when we get ready to go back to green. Riley Roush, Jacob Neuven, Brett Black, and Eli Salami in that McDonald's machine rolling 5th. And 6th spot, Scott Mullen being shown one, or 6th spot on the track, I should say. Scott Mullen being shown 1 lap down. So 5 cars staying out under this yellow flag. Don't go away. We'll be right back here to Indianapolis.
He has just gotten past Ross Kent, oh, car spinning. Oh, mercy, we heard that as they went into turn 1, heard something break.
Welcome back to Indianapolis. Pace car lights have been extinguished. That means this time in a 2.5 miles, we'll see cars in excess of 200 miles per hour as they exit the south end of the speedway. And that means it's time for Alex Buffoli to regain the top spot. Very intrigued. We were talking in the commercial break here, Al, that all these guys didn't pit. Apparently they feel their strategy does not warrant them coming to pit lane right now. Either way, Julian Madore, Andrew Hess and company, they didn't really lose on this round of pit stops. I mean, they're back in 6th, 7th, and so on, so they're still in touch with the top 10. Or, for fact matter, they are in the top 10, in touch with the top 3 or 4.
Yeah, definitely. Like we were talking during the commercial break, we figured we'd see everybody come in, but maybe these guys have fuel mileage figured out. Maybe one or two more stops. If they stayed out on the raceway, they could make it to the distance, and who knows, if we had a couple more quick yellows, that could throw the strategies right out the window as we are working lap 29 of 125 here tonight.
And it looks like pace car will be making that left-hand turn to the safety of pit lane. Buffoli, Roush, Neuven, Black, and Salami stayed on the racetrack. Top 5 have not come down for service under this yellow flag. So Midori, Hess, and Smith, the top 3 with tires. Be very intrigued to see if tires do make that much of a difference. I don't think that it's going to from what we saw earlier, but we have seen crazier things in the past, have we not?
We have, and especially with your, say, the top 6 cars.
Trouble for Riley Roush. Riley Roush parks on the racetrack, exits the server, so Roush, apparently some sort of major issue he could not avoid. That's going to move the Midori machine up to the 5th spot. Buffoli now by himself. Jacob Neuven about 15 car lengths behind him already. And that's going to get Alex Buffoli wondering what in the world is going on, because it appeared early in the running that Riley Roush was the only car that had anything for him, or at least enough to run with him. Does that let everybody else get maybe bunched up and draft up to Alex Buffoli?
You wonder how much of a sitting duck he'll be as the racetrack definitely starting to get some rubber laid down, as we had a pass for 4th back there. It was Madore moving into your 4th spot around Eli Salami. So they work around here. Salami back to your number 5th spot as they work down the front stretch to click off another lap here at Indy. But what a weird restart that was, Tony.
Was rather odd the way that exactly worked out. Sure, Riley Roush didn't expect to see that happen, neither did anybody behind him, and I hope they're praying they didn't get black flagged via the sim because of it. So top 4, due to that, very spread out for the most part. I'm sure they'll suck right back in on each other's nose cones and gearboxes before it's all said and done. But that's good news if you're Alex Buffoli. It means nobody's right there all up in your stuff, trying to make you make a mistake, trying to push you around the Indianapolis Motor Speedway as he comes around to complete lap number 31, already in the books in this one. So Buffoli, I think, has been the dominant car so far this evening. Nothing, and nobody I have seen, I think, has anything for this 08 machine straight up. However, what we did see in that last run is if you've got track position, as we've talked all night long, and you're close to fast enough, you might have something for that 08.
And we did click off just about 1/10 of a second in Neuven up to your number 2 spot, looking to chase down your race leader. But absolutely, you get in the slipstream from your race. So, and it looks like Riley Roush back out onto the speedway. So something going to miss on the 06 electrical system as they work around the speedway. But now 1 second gap between first and second. But the battle for second starting to shape up as the battle of rookies here in Indy. We have Neuven versus Black as they work down the backstretch.
Rookies in the Championship Online Racing Teams Series dueling it out for that second spot. Fittingly so, right behind the veteran Alex Buffoli. They worked through turn number 3, and that gap that was about a half second or so is now down to literally a car length and a half as they work off of turn number 4. Black appears to have the faster car at this juncture. However, he has had the aid of the aerodynamic draft, the slipstream, whatever you'd like to call it, and now getting by Jacob Neuven might be a little bit of a different story, but Neuven opens the bottom. He leaves it wide open. Black thought about sticking his foot in the door. Not enough room there to do it, but Neuven better be careful. Otherwise, he's going to have Brett Black all up underneath of him.
Am I just looking at my notes? Looks like Brett Black hit it on the first caution. So Neuven came in on the second. So those fresher tires up front in front of the 91. But looks like Neuven's car just a little bit tighter than the 91 of Black. I wonder if those two rookies will battle it out or stay single file, trying to run down your race leader of Alex Buffoli, who's just out front and looking to hide as he's opened the gap up to 1.4 seconds.
So nearly a second and a half as these two continue to draft. If I am Brett Black and I feel I'm faster, I think I need to find a way around Jacob Neuven right now because I feel he's holding me up. At the very least, it's not going to hurt anything to maybe try to switch it up and see what happens, because there is no disputing the fact that Alex Buffoli has checked out already in this one. He has set sail. He's trying to go downtown cruising for women right now. He's over at Lucas Oil Stadium somewhere, while everybody else 2, 3, and 4 tenths slower than he is. Buffoli just laying it to him already.
He has definitely been the class of the field. The only car, as we said earlier, and the fastest car in practice was Riley Roush. So interesting to find out what happened underneath the hood of the 06 of Riley Roush that dropped him to 1 lap behind. It's going to be hard to dig out of that hole. Is Julian Madore up to your number 4 spot. We got a battle for 4th. Salami is sitting there in 5th. He's being hounded by number 22 of Andrew Hess.
He is being absolutely stalked by that number 22 machine. Now, Madorian getting into turn number 3. It looked like that car picked up a little bit of an oversteer condition. The car got out from under him, and now you see Salami able to close right back in on the rear wing of Julian Midori. So maybe a handling condition developing on the number 10 machine of Julian Midori as this run continues on. He'll fidget with all the in-car adjustments, I'm sure, to try to find a little bit of speed, but Midori had a bit of a moment 2.5 miles ago. This time he'll pull out once again, but I'm sure Salami and Hess saw that, and they thought maybe they were out for blood as again Midori issues in turn 3. Looks like that is his trouble corner, just cannot get through the north end of the speedway, but on the south end, he's pretty doggone good.
He pulls away from him a little bit as we go on board with the number 10 of Julian Madore as they look back at the 02 Islami and the McDonald's. Indy, as they work through the corner, you see as the number 02 Islami taking a peek down low but can't do anything with him. He'll take it down low into turn number 3. He'll tuck it. Oh, he cuts it back out as yellow flag out on the speedway.
Caution is out. Looks like Chris Sweat off of turn number 2 in the Dario Franchitti special. Just got way high, lost control of that machine, and it did a tank slapper into the outside wall. Very lucky nobody else caught a piece of him, as Kyle Young came by and nearly had an opportunity to T-bone him. Luckily, did not. So tough break for Chris Sweat. His day appears to be over, and there you see it into and out of turn number 2. It just got away from him, Al. Not a whole lot he could do. Apparently that car having issues getting into the corner, forcing him to take that late entry, and it manifested itself in a bent-up race car.
Earlier in the race, I said we got to keep the cars down in that black groove that's formed here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. And the number 40 of Sweat not able to keep it down there, and it just went around and unfortunately ended his night on lap number 38.
So we anticipate once again pit stops, although we've said that before and things didn't work out exactly the way that we had planned. Buffoli, Neuven, and Black, and before that yellow flag, Buffoli had pulled out to about 2.5 to 3 seconds over Neuven and Black, for that matter, had fallen off the rear wing of Jacob Neuven. So it appears that the top 3 starting to show maybe who they're going to be if this race continues the current pace that it is running. But Buffoli, I think there is no disputing the fact he is the fastest car in town.
Looks like Neuven going to take the hard left-hand turn. He'll be the first car on the pit road, as Buffoli and Black will stay out onto the speedway. Kind of a mixed bag of who came in, who didn't as they came into the pits.
Yeah, a few cars stayed on the speedway. Most everybody else that was on the racetrack came down. Neuven came down. Salami, Hayes, Johnny Eckert on pit road. Corey Stevens, Tyler Tucker, Brian Sullivan, all in for service. Patrick Healy is in for service as well. That's the Peak sponsored entry for Patrick Healy. So it appears to be 4 tires and topping off the methanol in the tanks of each and every one of these machines. And Jacob Neuven going to win that race off the pit road, followed by Eckert, Hayes, Stevens, Tucker, Salami, and probably Brian Sullivan, it appears, or Kyle Young. Either way, those cars taking excess time in the pit lane, fixing damage they obtained earlier in the event. So all the field circulates under caution. We're going to take another break. We'll be right back here live to Indianapolis. 100 miles are complete. Welcome back to Indianapolis. The iRacing first Ford Mustang pacing the field once again. And as we said, we went to break. Buffoli, Black, Medora, Hess, Taylor, Smith, and company all staying on the racetrack. The first car that won the race off of the pit lane with 4 tires and fuel out is going to be Jacob Neuven. He'll restart in 9th. From what we've seen so far today, that's a pretty long ways back if you're going to try to work your way forward.
And we haven't really seen too many passes, so it'll be interesting to see if Neuven can make anything happen on this restart. Track position has been key, and I think will continue to be key throughout the rest of the race.
Now the field is thinning out. Only 17 cars still being shown on the lead lap, possibly 16 once we come back and cycle around. Brian Sullivan, I think, may be having some issues right now as he's not showing on the speedway, although he is showing currently in the lead lap in scoring. So 16 cars on the lead lap, and that means the cautions theoretically going to be getting fewer and further between now, which means your pit strategy better be spot on or you might be in a world of hurt come lap 125. Speaking of world of hurt, no longer for Alex Buffoli. He jumps away on the restart. A little bit of a bobble into turn number 1. He'll lead Brett Black, Julian Medora and company through the south end of the speedway once again. And as we've expected, the field's strung out already. First battle, back for about 4th. That's where Andrew Hess and Stephen Taylor are going at it down the back straightaway.
Hess going to take it down low, or Taylor down low into turn number 3 below Hess, and Hess will give away spot number 5 as that'll lose Hess back in another position as they start to switch it out as the guys trying to get as many spots as they can on this restart. They look down the front stretch across the yard of bricks. It is Nathan Smith up to your number 5 position in that Budweiser number 5.
So Smith got by Andrew Hess there. In fact, Hess losing 2 spots in the course of about 2 corners with that slip as he worked off turn number 2 that opened the door for Stephen Taylor. And Taylor right now showing a little bit of speed. He's still got about, 3/4 of a second or so to catch Julie Midori and Brett Black. But if the last lap or 2 has been any indication, it looks like maybe Stephen Taylor has found some extra gear inside the cockpit. That 42 machine is digging down the front stretch.
Trying to close in on your top 3 as Julian Medora holds on to your 3rd spot, but you are right, Taylor, a man on a mission. 40.137 second lap time this last time by, trying to find a way to get inside the top 3.
That lap last time by was the fastest of the top 5. So he's beginning to close in on Midori, who's in about the 40-30s is where he's been running. Same with Brett Black and Buffoli. It's taking him a while to get up to speed, but once he gets up to speed, that car just does not fall off as they work through turns 3 and 4 one more time, spilling off onto the front straightaway. Taylor now starting to suck in on the back bumper of Julian Midori, who has actually lost ground to Brett Black. He was tandemed up almost with Brett Black, but now Midori starting to fall back just a little bit into the clutches of Stephen Taylor as they work off turn number 2.
The battle back for 5th starting to shape up even as Hess got the car back underneath him. As he's on the back bumper of Smith as they work down the backstretch into turn number 3. As those had a whole gaggle of cars behind them as they work through turns 3 and 4. Now Hess right to the back bumper of Smith, swings it to the high side, trying to find a way around the number 5.
Of course, that battle happening about 2 seconds or so behind your leader, Alex Buffoli, and it is a dandy. 4 cars really locked in that tussle. You've got Smith and Hess, the initial 2, and then right immediately behind them, Harrington and Cervoni in the number 29 machine. We haven't talked a whole lot about Joseph Cervoni tonight, but he's doing a solid job inside the top 10. He's kept that car clean, and looks like he's trying to be around for the end of this one, closing on lap number 50. That'll put us 40% of the way home. Before you know it, we're going to be halfway down with 250 kilometers in the books.
And the one car to keep an eye on back there, one of the fastest car in practice, and the only guy looked like to have a shot at taking down Buffoli is the 06 Riley Roush. He's racing these leaders extremely aggressive right now, trying to get back on the lead lap. Battle for your number 5 spot as Hess takes a look underneath the 5 of Smith as they're side by side. Hess gets a little bit loose, and that'll bring alongside the number 2 of Matt Harrington. Harrington way to the outside. He'll lose ground to your number 22 of Hess.
So a little bit of juking and jiving off of turn number 2, and things still aren't quite done yet. There you see Roush right there in the middle of it. Cervoni catching up with that Red Bull machine. Matt Harrington, well, he's kind of the loser out of that deal, but nonetheless, he'll tuck back in line and do whatever he can. Appears a major push picking up on that machine. Cervoni darts to the inside. He'll be able to get by the Harrington machine. So Joe Cervoni up to the number 7 spot. Harrington back to 8th now as Roush continues to fight and claw his way back to the front of the field. And if things continue the way they have been, Roush might have a prayer of getting back on the lead lap. It's going to involve a little bit of pit strategy. It's going to involve the yellows falling at the exact right time. But if Riley Roush can get back on the lead lap at the right time and things fall his way, this race may not be over for him. He's still being scored only 1 lap down in the 17th spot.
As he is putting the pressure to the back bumper of Hess. Now, if I'm Hess, I might see that, oh, this guy's a lot faster, let Riley Roush go by, and then slipstream him. Save some fuel, let him work underneath the 5 of Smith, and follow him right to the front, as both of those cars look pretty sporty right at this moment.
That they are. Of course, Roush doesn't have a whole lot to gain by trying to make some sort of dive bomb maneuver. He could take himself and maybe another competitor out in the process. So he's got to be very deliberate about the choices he makes on the racetrack. He has to make sure those doors are open and they're not just cracked. They're fully open with somebody motioning him, come on through, walk right through this one because I'm leaving it open for you. That's what Riley Roush has to be very, very careful about. Meanwhile, well, as we watch this battle continue to unfold here for this spot, Hess in the middle of it as well as Smith. Thought maybe for a moment there Hess had a beeline on Smith, nothing there. Up front, Brett Black is starting to close in very, very slowly on your leader, Alex Buffoli. Now, Buffoli picked it up the last time by, but Black is within about a half a second of the top spot. That's really closer than we have seen anybody all evening reel in that 08 machine of Alex Buffoli.
He's just in the tire tracks of Buffoli. His Black as he is just trying to stay as close as he can in the slipstream as he keeps on gaining. But now I think Buffoli's car starting to come in. We're into about a 5-lap run since the yellow flag was out and we're back under green. So now Buffoli's car, tires coming up to temperature. I think you'll start to see him pull away.
Lap times indicating just the same thing. In fact, Buffoli now almost down to the 40 flats. The last time by was a 40-10 compared to Brett Black's 40-17. That's not to say Black can't pick it up. And here comes Buffoli in the pit lane. Buffoli going to be forced to come down pit road for tires, or not so much tires, but fuel. This a very, very important pit stop for Buffoli. One of 2 things needs to happen. He needs to wait for the field to cycle around, or if the yellow comes out, it needs to come out before he does, in fact, go a lap down. We do anticipate Buffoli might stay on the lead lap, but he's going to have perfect service for that to happen.
I started to wonder how much of a gamble it was staying out. Was he hoping for a yellow flag, quick yellow, to go down pit road as your race leader of Black, a rookie in this race and a rookie in the court division, working down the front stretch as your race leader leading lap number 52.
And he will lap Alex Buffoli as Buffoli gets up to speed on the access lane. There you see Brett Black flash by at speed on the outside. Buffoli now 1 lap down. Midori and Taylor trying to close up on him as well. Maybe to put a couple more cars between Buffoli and the top spot. And yes, they will in fact do that. So Buffoli now playing a strategy that he hopes and prays will get him to the end of this race. How long did he go on that last stint? Because it appears it really wasn't that long, Al. I got about 25 laps, if that. Maybe Buffoli believes he can make it the rest of the way from here on his strategy, but that's a pretty risky maneuver.
That was very risky. I had about 22 laps since he was last on pit road, including the yellows. So not very good fuel mileage for the number 08 of Buffoli, but maybe he's short pitted, who knows. But it was definitely something to keep an eye on as we had him on pit road on lap 52, so we'll see what lap he'll have to come back in. But that Black starting to pull away as he's got a 1.6 race second lead over your second place battle, which is shaping up between Mador and Taylor, and Taylor all over the back bumper of Midori.
Yeah, Steven Taylor and Midori, they've been back and forth like a rubber band all day long. One would stretch it out, and then they would close right back in like they are now, and then Midori would stretch it out again, or Taylor would fall back, whichever the case might have been. The result was the same. They were separated by a large margin, and now separated by simply a matter of inches, if not feet, on the back straightaway. As they work into turn number 3, Taylor keeps thinking about it, keeps trying to find a way by the number 10 car of Julian Midori, just cannot find a place to make it happen. Maybe he's got to stick a couple of Lego blocks in there somewhere to make Midori have some sort of screw up.
He just hit the wall off turn number 4, as that will definitely hurt the advances of Steven Taylor. Just brushing the outside wall off turn 4. Wonder how much damage to the suspension was on that Honda number 42, the Lego automobile, running there in your 3rd spot. Doesn't seem to have hurt it so far, Tony, as he works down the backstretch.
Yeah, if he touched it, he just barely brushed it, at least according to what it appears to be on the racetrack. So maybe a bullet missed by Steven Taylor, or at least a grazing blow, if you will, as he now closes back in one more time on the Julian Midori machine off of turn number 4. Part of me also wonders how much of that was trying to mimic what Julian Midori was doing and get focused in on the car in front of you. And if he's got a handling issue, sometimes you can get sucked right up into the wall with him.
Definitely, as our race leader pulled it on the pit road, Black on the pit road. So it's just interesting to see now that we're into a green flag run. One car out of shape, the number 2 of Matt Harrington on the backstretch. But he'll keep it going down as he's got some electrical issues, but issues on the number 2 of Harrington down at the backstretch.
So Brett Black's service now will complete. He'll leave his pit stall as the leaders, Midori and Taylor, work out of turn number 4. Black at the very reduced pit road speed of 55 miles per hour. Looks like he too now going to go, in fact, 1 lap down as the leaders flash into turn number 1. Black still getting up to speed, and yes, there will go the leaders, bypassing the number 91 machine. Now here's the question: whoa, he's in the grass! Black's in the grass! Big trouble, turn number 2! He takes out Nate Smith, caution is out! More cars catching a piece of it as we have got catastrophe in turn number 2. Brett Black trying to make up as much time as he could on cold tires, made the mistake on the access road, got into the grass, and now not only does that affect his race, the race of Nate Smith and the others who were taken out in the accident, but also Alex Buffoli, his race has gone from bad to worse as he now is locked and trapped 1 lap down. Tyler Tucker also catching a piece of that accident. Corey Stevens up and over. Indiana Jones not going to be able to fix that one as things are large. Johnny Eckert also a damaged race car in that one. So about 5-6 cars catching a piece of that accident now. It was pretty large after Black bounced off the wall and off of other cars in turn 2.
Tough break for a lot of the top 5 runners as, would you say, a rookie mistake by the number 91 of Brett Black has just got on it too soon off of the access road, trying not to lose too much time. But here's the question, Tony. Alex Buffoli already came in, did his pit stop. Does he come in, or will the rest of the field come in and he'll stay out and get back on the tail end of the lead lap?
Hard to really say, and I'm led to believe that Buffoli will stay on the racetrack. But I don't know how that's really going to work out for him. He's going to have to come from the back of the field. Now, he's done that already, so it might not be the end of the world. We're just closing in on halfway, and especially after that accident, a very reduced car count could work to his benefit. Either way, I don't know. It's a pretty tall order. Part of me would almost come down pit road just to make sure I'm good to go. But again, he pitted there on lap 52. This race is 125 laps long. That's, I don't know. He might be thinking he can make it on one more stop from here, as he will stay out this time. Kind of forced to, though, being that the lap down cars will have to come down pit road the next time. But either way, Buffoli taking a gamble here. Same with Riley Roush, who's being shown 2 laps in arrears. He'll get one of his back, assuming they don't come down pit road. But either way, Roush still going to be stuck 1 lap down in comparison to his rival there, Alex Buffoli.
His leader hits pit road. He'll car go up on the jack stands. Pit crew over the wall with door and 4 tires, filling that car full of American Methanol, as they get ready to pull off pit road, he'll pull out first off of pit road. So Julian Medora, your race leader, going to win the race off of pit road, followed by the number 22 of Andrew Hess. Joe Cervoni will sit there and come off third, followed by Steven Taylor, Tyler Tuck, Matt Harrington. Harrington getting a lucky break as he got real loose early towards the end of that last run. But Kyle Young, he's got a little bit of wing damage on his number 6 car as he comes out in the 9th position.
That's more than a little bit of damage, it looks like. That's pretty substantial damage on the number 6 machine of Kyle Young. Now, he's had that, it seems like, for, well, quite a long while, but hasn't affected him to the point that he's been forced to retire from the event, although he is not quite up to speed, maybe where he would prefer to be. So we'll see how that, in fact, plays out over the course of the rest of this event. Hard to believe we're already halfway through this one, as it'll be lap 60. Well, when we cross the lap 63 mark, we'll be halfway home and then some. Again, 125 laps, 500 kilometers the distance here in the Trading Paints 500K. So we will restack the running order and let you know exactly what occurs and who gets the wave around when we come back in just a couple of moments. You're watching the Championship Online Racing Team's Trading Paints 500K live from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Pace car lights are off. The field trailing behind the pace car once again at 65 miles per hour. 14 of the original 27 starters still remain here in the Court Trading Paints 500K. Julian Medora, Andrew Hess, and Joe Cervoni, the top 3, as we are just a corner or so away, Al Smith, from getting ready to go back to green. Medora is in a very, very good spot right now because his closest, well, I think his closest or tightest challenger, Alex Buffoli, he is going to have to start at the rear of this 14-car field. And from what we've seen so far tonight, that's a tall order to work your way up to the front.
It definitely is as the pace car gets ready to take the hard left-hand turn back on the pit road. They'll release the field back under Julian Medora as they start to stack them up. But it's definitely going to be an interesting task to see Buffoli come from 11th as we have just halfway. So 63 laps will be halfway as the green flag comes out and Medora jumps out to an extensive lead. He was not waiting around on the start of that one.
Don't think I can really blame him. So as they cross the stripe, Buffoli scored 11th, 3.5 seconds off the lead. Already he is going to town, working by slower traffic. He gets by the Andrew Hayes machine. He also now working by the Kyle Young machine, a couple of wounded machines on the speedway. And that really is the most entertaining thing to watch immediately after this restart, is to see how much ground Alex Buffoli can make up as the rest of the field trying to pick back up where they left off. He works by the O2 machine of Eli Salami. who now comes down pit road, so tough break for Salami. He'll have to go down a lap as service will continue in the 02 car, but it looks like Alex Buffoli is a man possessed. That lap alone, he closed in 0.4 of a second on the leader.
Went from 11th to 7th and looking for more as he looks down to chase down Matt Harrington as they work down the backstretch. But up front, things starting to tighten up as Andrew Hess right to the back deck lid of the number 10 of Medor. Well, I guess you'd call it a wing, I guess, Tony. So
I was going to say, what are you looking at? We're not racing taxi cabs. We're racing Indy cars. There's a big difference. They don't have deck lids. We got wings. We got gearboxes. We've got rear wishbones. There's no deck lid, no bumper on these cars. Get your vehicle straight.
Well, yeah, I don't know what came out, Tony. You know how it is. 60, just past halfway. Got myself a little beverage, and these drivers are starting to settle in for a long green flag run. The interesting part will be is if Buffoli will have to pit again under the green flag or really catch that yellow flag to let him come on the pit road and service that 08.
I think he's going to have to come down pit road one more time. I think he's got this thing planned out the way he would like. I mean, he pitted with, 125 laps of distance. He pitted on lap 52. So, let's see, that is 75 laps, basically, 73 laps, we'll say, to the end. That is basically one fuel stop. So, if this stays green, Buffoli might be in good shape, but by the same token, everybody else on the same strategy, they have one stop. So the good news is he's on the lead lap, but on the same strategy. The bad news is he's got cars to pass. The other piece of good news, he's closing in on that group. What was 3 seconds and change, now slightly under 3 seconds. In fact, 2.9 and something as they crossed the line one lap ago. This time, Buffoli will flash across the stripe. He will have closed in another 0.2 of a second on the leader. So Buffoli is fast. The good news is for Buffoli, he's got, about 60 laps to get the job done.
Medor's stretching it out a little bit, but the battle is back there for second as Hess has the back wing full of the number 29 of Cervone. And Cervone all over the back bumper of Hess. That time got a good run off of 3 and 4. So it looks like where Madone struggles, Hess excels a little bit as on opposite sides of the speedway. So it's interesting to see drivers having issues in different ends of the speedway.
And that's something we saw earlier with Julian Midori leading, that he was able to extend it on one end over Nate Smith, and then it would close back in on the other end of the speedway. You'd think looking at this racetrack, it is symmetrical and both ends would drive the same. Oh no, far from that. And even though they might geometrically be the same, which theoretically they're supposed to be, there's just something about driving off into turn one in that sea of grandstands and sea of people. It's a little disconcerting compared to turn number 3 where it's wide open golf course country.
And business is picking up as they get ready to go into turn number 1. Throw a blanket over your top 5, separated by just less than a second, and they're all jostling for position. All falling to behind it, AMG. Car number 10 of Julian Medor as he's getting hounded by the 22 of Hess, running in third is Cervone. Then we have Steven Taylor, and his Lego is building the blocks up inside the top 5. And then Tyler Tucker, first time we mentioned his name here tonight, he rounds out your top 5.
And don't look now, but Alex Buffoli has made his way around Matt Harrington for that 6th position. The gap this time by, we anticipate, will be about 2 seconds from 1st to 6th. And yes, that's 2 seconds, not 3. What does that mean? Alex Buffoli is closing in on the top quintet, and I think that's something all these drivers know. And while they're continuing to ride single file and battle amongst themselves, they know Buffoli is coming. That's got to be on the back of their minds as you see Cervone just working over Andrew Hess, bird dogging him out of turn number 3 as they work into turn number 4. Again, Cervone thought about it, nothing there. The Red Bull Special going to wash up out of turn 4, nearly catches the concrete. Single file once again for these 5 down the front straightaway.
And right in front of that, the guy that's watching it all unfold is Alex Buffoli, who now closes it in just under 2 seconds back there in position number 6. but it is a tough battle up here for in the top 5. All the cars now starting to spread out a little bit. The battle for 5th raging on. Here comes Tucker. Tuck will take underneath the number 42 of Taylor for your number 4 spot. So there's a change in position inside of the top 5 as Tucker maybe got the message that the 08 of Buffoli's coming, and it's go time.
Yes, it's time to put the hammer down, and we really don't anticipate a lot more yellows. We said a few laps ago that half the starting field had been eliminated. Move that to a little more than half the starting field has been eliminated. 13 cars remain on the speedway. 10 cars in the lead lap. Roush, Salami, and Mullen, the 3 machines that are being shown 1 lap in arrears in 11th, 12th, and 13th, respectively. So not a lot of mulligans left for, say, Julian Midori, Andrew Hess and company. They know they pretty much have to be perfect from this point forward out. They're not going to get a whole lot more opportunities to maybe make up for a mistake.
Exactly, and the crucial point is going to be coming up for Buffoli. By my calculations, the 08 of Buffoli will also have to pit coming up within the next 3 to 4 laps. So it's crucial not to get us speeding onto pit road or speeding in pit road to hopefully have his plan come to fruition.
Now, what we have noticed the last couple laps, Buffoli has actually fallen back. Not a lot, a couple of tenths maybe at most, but nonetheless, that gap has fallen, or grown, I should say, and almost become stagnant. So while Buffoli might be faster for a short while, it appears that maybe once the fuel load begins to wear off, once the tires begin to wear down, that maybe Alex Buffoli loses what little bit of an advantage that he might have across the stripe. Once again, this time we'll see what the intervals say, and Buffoli will close in one more time. So really, they're kind of trading fast laps back and forth. Midori and Buffoli, 2 very equally matched cars, at least in this current situation.
One car starting to lose touch with your top 4 is the 42 of Taylor. So that slipstream will start getting caught by the 08 of Buffoli as Taylor runs there in your 5th spot. But here's a question. Is Buffoli starting to stretch fuel a little bit? Doing those calculations. The guy on top of the pit box telling him, hey, save me some fuel. We need a couple laps of fuel before our next pit stop. So we know we're good to go hard to the end.
Well, I think that theory might be out the window. He closed another 1/10 of a second or so that time by, as you mentioned, beginning to inhale the number 42 machine of Stephen Taylor. He can smell the methanol fumes, and he can taste the top 5 for that matter as they work down the back straightaway one more time in excess of 225 miles per hour. Midori coming this time to complete lap 74. That means 51 circuits remaining here in the Trading Paints 500K at Indianapolis. That's just about 125 miles left in this one. What ultimately is a 312-mile race, 500 kilometers, and it's coming down to really a 6-horse race, I think. I don't think Harrington, Hayes, or Young, or for that matter Healy, have anything for a shot to win this one, barring some sort of miracle. It looks like it's going to be 6 cars that are going to have to try to settle this one amongst themselves.
Cervoni just having a moment off of turn number 2, working the whole back straightaway to keep the car underneath them. He'll hold on to your 3rd spot, but scary moment back there for the Red Bull entry of the number 29 of Cervoni. As your race lead starting to heat up again as Hess has got the dial tone on the back bumper of the number 10 of Midori.
It's almost like that maybe Midori playing with him a little bit, or maybe Hess fidgeting with the adjustments in the cockpit, trying to tune, trying to tinker to find something to at least get up to, if not by, Julian Midori. Cervoni might be in the same boat. There you see Cervoni up underneath briefly the Hess machine. In fact, he got a run him outside, inside. Didn't really throw the block, but Cervoni, he thought about trying to fit between Hess and the wall. That wasn't going to work. Cervoni now, maybe that car is starting to come to life, and almost too much speed for what he can handle as Midori down low through that end of the speedway. Almost like he was signaling he might be coming to pit road, but he will not. He'll continue to lead this group. Now back in that 4th spot, Tyler Tucker looks on Joe Cervoni. He'll have the position into turn number 1. So move Tucker in the chicken machine. That's Zaxby's car up to the 3rd spot as they work through turns 1 and 2.
Tucker on the move, restarted back in the number 8 position on this latest restart, and has moved himself up inside the top 3. Now he's not done yet as he looks underneath the number 22 of Hess. They'll work through turns 3 and 4. Midori's loving the battle behind him as he starts to gap over the 22 of Hess, but Hess still seems to be a little bit better through turns 3 and 4.
Seems he is just that little bit faster as you ride on board with Tyler Tucker. You see that battle ahead of you. You're on board the Red Bull machine. Hey, Red Bull and Zaxby's, that's a combination if I've ever seen it. Chicken and caffeine. Yum.
Well, right now it looks like the Zaxby car number 55 of Tucker has drank some Red Bull as he's marching through the field, looking to take over your number 2 spot behind Andrew Hess. Hess to the back wing. He'll take a look down low on your race leader Midori. They'll come through turns 3 and 4, and down the front stretch is still Midori leading this train. But look who's come into the picture, Tony. The 08 of Buffoli. He is closed in on this 5-car breakaway.
Very soon, we're going to see Buffoli creeping into the picture if you don't see him already in that 08 machine. And slow and steady, Buffoli knows he's had a fast car. He knows he can close in on this group, and that time out of turn number 2, big slip for Steven Taylor and Joe Cervoni. That allowed, yes, Buffoli now to suck up right to the back bumper of back gearbox of those machines, and it's almost now a couple of trios among the top 6. No longer a 4 or 5 car breakaway, but a pair of 3s as they work down the front straightaway. Cervoni and Taylor, the handling starting to go away. Buffoli now going to have to find a way to pass these cars. That sometimes is easier said than done.
Definitely is, and the Buffoli right to the back bumper of the number 42 of Taylor, and he is stretching his fuel mileage a little bit longer this time, Tony, as Buffoli has gone over the 25 laps, which he got in the last tank full in that 08, as he is really turning the heat up here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, all over the back wing of the 42 of Taylor.
I think if he can make it to about lap 88, 89 or so, we'll see Alex Buffoli on pit road. That'll pretty much split this stint in half. So we should anticipate pit stops from Buffoli and possibly the rest of these top runners sometime in the near future. But here comes Tyler Tucker. Speaking of stops, he's stopping for no man and no one. He gets by Andrew Hess for the runner-up spot, and now Tyler Tucker in the chicken wagon going to work his way closer and closer to the leader, Julian Midori. Now what that pass did do, it allowed Midori to skip away very briefly, but also allowed the other cars to suck right back in. And now once again, it is a 6-car freight train for that top spot.
And cracking the top 5 once again, the 08 of Buffoli. As that pass for second happened, a pass for fifth, as Cervoni slipped up, as Hess takes a move down low for your number 2 spot. Hess down low on Tucker, down in the turn number 1, as yellow flag comes out.
Not sure exactly what this yellow flag is for. I don't see anybody or anything with issue on the speedway, so possibly a debris caution. Now, what does this do for him? Maybe Patrick Healy, I think, might have caught a piece of the wall, possibly, in his machine. But either way, this is just on the outside of the fuel window right now, Al. So I don't know if you can make it the rest of the way without trying to conserve a little bit of fuel at this juncture. Do you take the gamble? Because we've got 40... Let's see, when Midori crosses the line this time, it'll be 43 laps to go. If you come down pit road the next time, that'll be 42 circuits remaining. That's 105 miles in a tank of fuel, barring yellow flag laps. That's a pretty long time in one of these Indy cars to stretch the fuel mileage. Does somebody try to do it, you think?
I think Buffoli has no option, Tony. He's on 30 laps now on 30 laps on his tank of fuel for Buffoli. So I think Buffoli has no option but to come down for pit to refuel that number 08. But it's interesting because he went longer this stint than he has in the last stint when he had to pit under the green flag.
What you got to remember, Buffoli is a former champion of this race. He knows what it's going to take. And I'm sure he's very, very thoroughly tested how far he can go in a tank of fuel. And it really wouldn't surprise me to not see any stops at all when they come around the pit entrance, for that sheer fact that nobody can make it, and they're going to have to come back down pit road, although we might see stops 3, 4, 5 laps after we go back to green, which would be, we assume, the final stops of the night.
Definitely going to see what kind of strategy takes place here in the Trading Paints 500K. for the court series. What an entertaining race so far, Tony. We've seen some comers, we've seen some goers, and it looks like Kyle Young was the reason for the damage or the yellow flag coming out, as it looks like your top 2 cars are peeling off. Buffoli as well coming down the pit road. One car looks to be staying out is the number 22 of Andrew Hess. So interesting strategy here as Hess stays out.
So Midori gonna stay out as well. And as you said, Hess on the racetrack. Remember, those two pitted after Alex Buffoli did. And again, they know they're going to have to pit again. So why come down pit road now? Why not make it one big stop? Of course, these drivers coming in now can make it a splash and go to make it to the end. So that includes Buffoli, who now finally works his way to his pit box. We anticipate it's going to be 4 tires and fuel for Buffoli. Same looks like for the Stephen Taylor machine, Tyler Tucker, Joe Cervoni, Harrington, and Andrew Hayes. And Alex Buffoli, a very, very long stop in his box. Makes you wonder if maybe some damage being repaired on the Buffoli machine.
Some damage, or maybe cramming full every last ounce of ethanol into the 08 as he sits on pit road. But I would just have to go with what you said, Tony. Probably a little bit of damage working up through that field as he went from 11th to 7th there on just a quick opening laps in that last yellow on the restart. So Tony Buffoli, long pit stop here on pit road. Interesting strategy being played out by all the competitors here in this race.
So Buffoli, I'm not sure what the deal is there with that 08 machine, but either way, the field is now working into turn number 3. So whatever Buffoli is doing, he's going to have to he's got to finish it up rather quickly, or he might be in danger of going a lap down. Very uncharacteristic of a driver like Buffoli is now finally he'll pull away from his pit stall. But the 2 stories I think we need to watch here, those who pit early and those who pit late. I think Midori and Hess have made their beds to pit early in this cycle, whereas everybody else that just came down, Tucker, Taylor, Buffoli, Cervoni, Harrington, Hayes, and Healy, they're going to be forced to come in for a late splash and go, or possibly get a late caution. Midori and Hess, they've pretty much made their bed. They're going to have to pray this race goes green to the end.
Definitely, as just working the numbers, it's going to be 40 laps to go this time by the stripe. So a long ways to stretch the fuel. I don't think it can be done, but it's going to be very, very close for some of these guys that have pitted now. I wonder if you'll see some guys duck back in the pits as the lights are off on the Ford Mustang iRacing pace car. So we're getting ready to go back green. Time to pull those belts tight one last time for this green run to the checkers.
So as you said, 40 laps when we cross the stripe to take the green flag. We'll complete lap 85 at that moment. 125 going to be the distance, so exactly 100 miles. I'm surprised we didn't see a couple of these drivers come back in to go ahead and top off the tank to maybe try to lean it out and do something as far as fuel mileage goes. I mean, an extra lap or so, it can't hurt, especially if you're an Andrew Hayes or a Patrick Healy or even an Alex Buffoli we didn't see come down pit road. Kind of shocking, really.
It definitely is, and a quick shout out to the 75 of Patrick Healy. By my calculation, he started 26 on the grid tonight, Tony. So a great job by the 75 of Patrick Healy, staying out of trouble, avoiding the wrecks, and here he is inside the top 10 here in the Trading Paints 500K.
Sometimes to finish these races well, all you got to do is keep your nose clean and avoid all the chaos. Patrick Healy has done a very, very good job of that. And same for Joe Cervoni. I mean, he started back in the 19th spot, Stephen Taylor in 18th. They have survived and soldiered their way on to what appears to be a top 10 finish, barring any sort of major issues. And certainly some very, very impressive top 5 runs as this race has continued on. So proof positive that you don't necessarily have to qualify well here at Indianapolis and IndyCar to finish well, although it does make the job a little bit easier.
It definitely does, and I'm quite impressed with the guy running in your number 2 spot, rookie in the court series, rookie here at Indianapolis, running second. What a storyline would that be if Andrew Hess could hang on to go possibly to victory lane here at Indy in the Trading Pains 500K. Pace car is off. We're looking for a green flag. Midori slowing the field down. He'll jump on the loud pedal. Green flag is back out.
Very quickly, he'll dart away from the field. Hess, his closest pursuer. And then comes, well, it's Eli Salami a lap down, but he will actually now allow the number 55 of Tyler Tucker to go by. So the chicken will trump the clown in that instance as the Zaxby's car gets around the McDonald's machine. But look at Salami now. He's holding up Steven Taylor, Joe Cervoni and company. I'm sure Salami's not trying to do that, but he is, as the field now into turn 3 for the first time after that yellow flag. Big gap from first all the way back to 9th. Patrick Healy, almost 4 seconds. But again, Alex Buffoli, I think, might be playing the fuel strategy game. We'll have to see what his lap times show, but maybe he's leaned that car out just a little bit, and maybe Alex Buffoli, and for that matter, the others who came down pit road, going to try to make it to the end.
That'll be interesting as we are now almost into a sprint type of race now with under 40 laps to go. And the top 2 cars did not pit, and they are starting to check out, trying to get as big as the gap as they can, because you know they're going to have to make green flag pit stops unless we get another quick yellow.
Green flag pit stops could be disastrous if everybody else can make it. If everybody else stays out and falls short, then, well, it looks like a genius move for Midori and Hess, but as we said, if everybody else can make it, it puts them in a pretty precarious spot, but they've made their bed. They're choosing to lie in it. So Midori and Hess, we anticipate coming down pit road any time now. I think they are now within their window or just about there. It'll be 37 laps to go when we cross the stripe this time. If I'm them, I could probably go, I think, to about lap 90, maybe even lap 95 from when they pitted last. I'd probably stretch it as long as I could just to be safe, but you've got to come down pit road at some point. And looking at lap times right now, Hess in the 39s trying to suck up to Julian Midori, so Hess feels racy. Everybody else behind them, Tyler Tucker, Steven Taylor, Joe Cervoni and company, they're about 3/4 tenths slower. Not a big amount, but maybe just enough to save that last half gallon or so of fuel to make it the rest of the way.
Interesting strategy being played out here in the Trading Paints 500K, but the battle is for your number 3 position. The Zaxby, number 55 of Tucker, has it, and he is being hounded by the number 02, but that car is a lap down. So Salami just trying to hold on, hoping for another quick yellow, get in front of the 55 of Tucker as he takes a look down low. He'll take a look down low and have the position. So if the yellow comes out now, your top 2 pit, Salami's back on the lead lap.
But that's a bunch of ifs because we think everybody else would most likely come down pit road for insurance as well, which may not work out exactly the way that Salami had planned either. Either way, it's certainly worth a gamble. Riley Roush also still stuck 1 lap down, as is Scott Mullen in the number 25 machine. Those are the only 12 cars still running here in this one. Midori and Hess off turn 4 once again. They'll bypass pit road. So with 35 laps to go as they cross the stripe, Midori and Hess, I think very safe to say now, well within their window. It's a matter of when they come to pit road, not if they come to pit road, and that win is going to be sooner rather than later.
Definitely is. Lap starting to click off. We would expect to see your top 2 on pit road anytime now, but they have stretched out their lead to just over 3 seconds. So they are whipping around the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, clicking off the laps. But my guess is just to get as big as the lead as they can before they have to hit pit road.
I think you're right. That's probably the goal they're going for, to make up as much time as they possibly can before they're forced into the pit lane for service. That gap now in excess of 3 seconds as Midori in the 20s that time. But way back there, that Buffoli guy we've been talking about, guess what? He's been in the teens for a couple of laps. Although he's now mired in traffic, he'll slow down just a little bit. But a couple of tenths a lap adds up very, very quickly here at Indianapolis. So if Midori and Hess pit now, 3 seconds from them to Steven Taylor, they might be able to stay on the lead lap. It might be on the very tail end of the lead lap, but they might be able to retain that spot.
It depends on the fuel mixture. How many of these guys packed the cars full of ethanol and took and leaned the motors out to get the best fuel mileage. Just a little over 30 laps to go here today at Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and these guys are not slouching up front though. They're down 40 O's, so they are cooking around the speedway. Gap up to 3.5 seconds over third place of Steven Taylor, followed by Tucker and Buffoli rounding out your top 5.
They're hauling the mail. There's no doubt about that. Still no sign yet from Hess or Midori when they'll be coming down pit road. Here comes Midori. No, thought maybe he was. Very, very low off turn number 4, but Midori playing possum with us right now as he and Hess continue to draft around the speedway. Again, clicking the laps off. But here's the thing you've got to keep in mind as well, Al. The more laps they make, that's less time they have to spend on pit road. That's less fuel they have to take. That's less weight they have to carry around in their race car. So maybe there is a little bit of method to the madness here.
Definitely. Only the crew chiefs and the drivers know that as they run nose to tail going through turns 3 and 4. Julian Midori up front, but don't count out Buffoli. Buffoli has worked himself into the top 5. Here comes Hess down the pit road.
Andrew Hess, your runner-up, now taking to pit lane. It'll be at the conclusion of lap 94 that he'll come in for service. And Hess, electrical issues on the number 22 machine. So Andrew Hess now going to be taking it to the garage. Tough break for Andrew Hess. That leaves Julian Midori all by his lonesome out front. And Midori now in a little bit of a spot that I don't think he wants to be in. No drafting partner. And tough break for Midori, and for that matter, the 22 of Andrew Hess. As Hess, well, it looks like now he is in his pit box. Not quite sure what the scoop was there. He'll finish service and now pull away as Midori will exit turn number 4. He'll get it down to pit road speed, 55 miles per hour. Julian Midori going to make a 30-lap run to the end of this one.
Midori coming down pit road, relinquishing the lead to the 42 of Steven Taylor. 55 miles an hour seems like an eternity here on the very long front pit road at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. He'll swing into his pit. Interested to see that the jacks come out, just car not being lifted up into the air. So it looks like just fuel and go for the number 10 of Julian Midori. Makes you wonder how much these tires can withhold. Leader just coming out of turn 3, so Midori's going to be very close of staying on the lead lap as your race leader now on the front straightaway as Midori just gets way on the access road. We saw trouble earlier in the race, someone trying to get going way too fast too soon, but it looks like Midori will stay on the lead lap back there in your number 7. It looks like out just inside the top 10, so he'll come out in front of your race leaders.
Wow, big and great move by Julian Midori to maintain a lead lap running position, so if something does happen, he's not completely written off in this one. So great pit work on the part of Midori, great work by the driver getting onto and off of the pit lane. Although he's being scored in the 8th spot, it is on the lead lap. Now Eli Salami, because of that cycle of stops, he now being scored also on the lead lap. Andrew Hess being scored the first car 1 lap down, but again, now we have to look in that second spot. Buffoli is there right behind Taylor. Tucker is there as well. And really that is ultimately the battle for the race win with a big if they can stretch it all the way to the end.
And if the yellow flag stays out or doesn't come out, as right now it is Steven Taylor, but he's got the back wing full as Buffoli takes a look down low. Buffoli trying to get to your race lead off of turn number 4 as they work down the front stretch. He'll tuck it back in line, holding on to your number 2 spot, but here comes the 55 with Tucker. 3 cars throw a blanket underneath over him as they head into turn number 1.
So Tucker going to take full advantage of that draft, that pull he was able to get off of turn number 4 when Buffoli was side by side with Steven Taylor. A little bit of lap traffic there. That is the number 20, or excuse me, the 02 machine of Eli Salami, and you see Buffoli and Tucker now wheel to wheel into turn number 3. They nearly made contact. Buffoli up the racetrack. He'll keep some momentum behind him, but Tucker going to lay claim to that second spot once again off of turn number 4. Taylor retains the top spot, but look at Tyler Tucker. The chicken wagon, she is a-rolling. It's about time for fried chicken to make payday and find pay dirt right here at Indy.
As the Zaxby's number 55 getting a tow by the 0-2, or Steven Taylor is your race leader in the number 42, so the Lego automobile up front showing the way as your top three throw a blanket underneath them as the field looks to work around the speedway, and Midori just in front of them.
Midori actually being reeled in by this group. Lap times a couple of tenths off what they were before he came down pit road, so maybe those tires could have been an advantage. Not quite sure whether he should have taken them or not. Either way, it doesn't matter. He's made his bed, he's lying in it, and now the pillows are starting to get a little bit uncomfortable for Julian Midori, but he is praying. He's down, he's not even in the bed right now. He's on his knees praying that these guys have to come down pit road. The problem is, I don't know if things do cycle around, what will happen. A splash and go dictates less time on pit road than what Midori had to spend. So again, we'll see how it all unravels and how it all shakes out as they work through turns 3 and 4 once again. This time by 101 laps go up on the scoring pylon. 24 circuits remaining in the Trading Paints 500K here in Indianapolis. It is Taylor, Tucker, and Buffoli, your top three. Harrington and Cervoni round out the top 5, and really, those are the only 5 cars in it with a shot to win here at the moment.
And the top 3 cars still running nose, tail to wing as they work down it. Here comes Tucker down the inside. He'll swing it way down low on the inside of Taylor. Trying to get your number 1 spot is the Zaxby number 55 of Tucker. He'll take it, and here comes Buffoli along with him as well. So Taylor goes from first to third in a matter of 1 corner, but now Buffoli all over the back bumper of Tucker. Right in there in the slipstream is now Buffoli. Will take a look down low. Is Tucker going to run him down to the inside wall?
Throwing the block, Tyler Tucker. Not so sure what the race officials will say about that one, but that cannot make Alex Buffoli very happy at all to be swung on the front straightaway just like that, and that's something he's going to put back in the memory bank and remember, so he might have to try to force his way around the top side of Tyler Tucker, because we've seen that Tucker does not want to give up the bottom, especially not to Alex Buffoli. You see the car in front of this pair? Yes, that's your former race leader, Julian Midori. Looks like his strategy not going to work out the way that he had planned. Now, this could pose an issue. You see Buffoli and Tucker. Buffoli nearly the outside wall. He'll lose control briefly off of the 4th corner. He'll gather it back in, but he'll lose major real estate to the leader, Tyler Tucker, as Tucker now will put Midori 1 lap down in turn number 1.
Tony, you got to wonder if that was all done by the air coming off the back side of the 55 of Tucker, as Midori will give room to the 08 of Buffoli. So now Midori's key goal is to keep the leaders within intact, as that was scary for your second place runner of Buffoli, almost race-ending maneuver off of turn number 4.
We've seen that happen a couple of times, not only to Buffoli, but to a couple of other drivers. The car gets way out from under them, and they nearly lose control. We've seen it off turn 2. We've seen it off turn number 4. And remember, Buffoli, we think, caught a piece of something or someone earlier. Spent an extended amount of time on pit road in that last yellow flag, repairing damage. And looks like, well, whatever it was, it almost happened again to him, as now he's going to be forced to try to reel back in Tyler Tucker. I don't think that's going to be a problem, because I think Buffoli has got a faster race car, especially with the aid of the draft off of that 55 machine, but laps are clicking away, and the good news, if you're Alex Buffoli, there's not a lot of traffic left that you're going to have to deal with. That was probably the extent of traffic that you're going to have to contend with for the rest of the night. All you have to worry about now is Tyler Tucker. However, if Steven Taylor maybe wants to take, well, never mind. Steven Taylor comes down pit road. So it appears Steven Taylor believes he cannot make it to the end. He'll give up the 3rd spot to come down pit road for service. Now this, we should anticipate, Al, is going to be a splash and go for Steven Taylor. He should stay on the lead lap.
He should, as we only have 20 laps left, so they haven't burned through that much fuel yet, as they are looking at a 20-lap run to the finish. So starting to see the strategy start to unfold.
7.6 to stop on Steven Taylor. Very similar time on Matt Harrington, as the leaders now working down the front straightaway. It looks like that pair may, in fact, go a lap down, although they were about 3 or 4 seconds off the tail end of your leaders anyway. Harrington going to go a lap down as the leaders blow by him on the access road. Same for Steven Taylor now as he tries to get up to speed, but it's rootless, as here comes Tyler Tucker and Alex Buffoli down the back straightaway. You see Tucker giving the top to Buffoli, flirting with that top lane, saying, take it if you really want it, I'll give it to you. But look now in turn 3, Buffoli all over the back bumper of Tucker. You can't put hardly a 9/16 wrench between them. It is Tucker and Buffoli dueling it out for the win here at Indy.
Starting to wonder if the 55 of Tucker is showing his cards a little bit too soon, showing his blocks, showing where he's going to make the mistakes. Is he just a little bit high off that corner? Buffoli draws the back bumper, bead right to the back bumper as the leader a little bit sideways off of turn number 2. And here comes Buffoli. Buffoli going to take a look down low into turn number 3. Tucker to the high side, Buffoli down low. It'll be a new race leader off of turn number 3.
Don't speak so soon. Tucker's going to drive it in there, but he's forced to give a lane to Buffoli, and that was a slide for life off turn number 2. You think maybe Buffoli checked up for a moment, but still had enough momentum to get by Tyler Tucker. So Tucker feeling the pressure of Alex Buffoli. Now the question is, can these two make it, number 1? Number 2, will Alex Buffoli be subject to a very similar error that Tyler Tucker just made if Tucker can get back to his gearbox? You see Buffoli nearly clipped the rumble strips in turn number 2. Tucker now able to get a little bit of a run on him as they work into turn number 3. It is back and forth, tit for tat as they work into turn 3 once again. Tucker right up on the rear wing of Buffoli one more time.
These two are starting to pull a gap almost 4 seconds back to your third place runner of Cervoni as we got a car in the wall being told over, but no yellow flag yet.
Not quite sure who that was. It looks like it might have been the car of Matt Harrington as that car limping on the access road in the north end of the speedway. So Harrington going to make it back to pit lane, albeit very, very slowly and very, very unintact as it was just 30 seconds ago. But we will stay green. That's good news if you're Buffoli and Tucker. Well, maybe. I guess it depends if you can go the rest of the way. It's definitely good news here, Stephen Taylor, Julian Midori, Andrew Hess, because you right now are locked a lap down off of turn number 4. This time by 15 laps to go. And here goes Tucker. He'll use the slingshot off turn number 4. He's going to go for the lead once again in turn number 1.
He'll have the preferred line through turns 1 and 2 as Tucker now back to the race lead. Starting to wonder who's going to want to be out front on that last lap, Tony. Is it better to be in second where you can get that slingshot off of turn number 4 and have a drag race to the start-finish line with just 15 laps to go? It is go time now as these two guys up front are burning the ethanol out of the tanks.
They are, in fact, burning all the fuel off the tanks, and I think now they're playing cat and mouse. They're playing the chess game. They're trying to get a couple of moves in their head that they might want to try, given whatever position they would be in, come the white flag, come 2 to go, whichever the case might be, or for that matter, come off turn 4 to the checkers. As you saw that 55 machine of Tucker try the slingshot. If that were the final lap, he would not have made it back to the stripe before Alex Buffoli. Buffoli would have had the advantage, and I think it's going to all come down to timing. It's all going to come down to where you make that move and how much momentum you have when you make it. If you don't have a big run, here comes Buffoli down pit road. Buffoli cannot make it the rest of the way. He'll go on the binders. He'll nearly lose control of the car entering the pit lane. Buffoli a splash and go with 13 laps to go. Down to the attention of the crew. That leaves Tyler Tucker, the lone man out front by nearly a half a lap over Andrew Hayes and Joe Cervoni. The question now, however, Hayes and Cervoni, are they conserving fuel? Can they go the rest of the way?
And Hayes, one of the drivers we have not talked about all race, quietly working his way inside the top 10, the 2010 winner of this race, so he also knows how to get this done as Buffoli back underway out of pit road as he works on the access road.
So Buffoli, a 6.7 second stop. He'll work off of turn number 2 here at the moment. Tyler Tucker just entering turn 2. He may in fact catch Buffoli, but Buffoli will be at the tail end of the lead lap, and looks like he probably will not catch Buffoli as he gets back up the speed into turn number 3. About, quarter of a mile or so separate those two. So good pit work on the part of Alex Buffoli. We talked about Joe Cervoni. Looks like that he came down pit road that time just as we were talking about him. So he will give up a lap and come down pit road for service. Now, if you're Tyler Tucker, you've got half a lap to conserve fuel. He's still out there clicking off 40 15s, 40 12s, 40 10s, and driving that car sideways. But if I'm Tyler Tucker right now, with 10 laps to go next time, I'm conserving the devil out of fuel. I might have already made my bed, but I'm going to try to do everything I can to limp this car back home without having to come down pit road, because Hayes may or may not be able to make it. You know Buffoli can, and that's a full lap you can afford basically to give up while trying to somehow limp home. But Tucker is still wide open on it.
Definitely is no conserving fuel on that Zaxby's number 55 as he clicks off lap 115. So 10 laps to go here at Indy, and it is the number 55 of Tyler Tucker showing away, extending his gap to now 15 seconds over Andrew Hayes in that number 20.
So it comes down to fuel mileage here at Indianapolis. 10 laps to go, less than that now. In the Trading Paints 500K, less than 25 miles remain in this one, as Tyler Tucker will rocket off turn number 4 this time, and again, bypassing the pit entrance. This reminds me of Robbie Gordon's economy run a few years ago, where he came up just a lap and a quarter short as the car sputtered over in turns 3 and 4, and he was forced to pit road on the white flag lap. Could Tyler Tucker be in for a similar fate? Or maybe will they find some sort of fuel in the tank for that Zaxby's machine to pick up? The lap times have not fallen off whatsoever. Tucker is still wide freaking open down the back straightaway. All the time in the world to give up. All the time in the world to try to conserve some fuel. And Tyler Tucker, possibly, I don't want to say a rookie mistake, but a rookie mistake of trying to drive this car full bore all the way to the finish.
By looking at the notes here in the booth, Tony, he was in pit road the same time as Buffoli. So got to start wondering, did he conserve fuel under the yellows? Did he lean the car out so he's getting better fuel mileage? He hasn't seemed to be slowing down at all, as he just ran a 40 flat around the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. So Tucker on the loud pedal still, but starting to wonder, can he make it? That is the question.
I don't think he can. I don't see Buffoli. I don't see Cervoni. I don't see Midori, Hess, and everybody else coming down pit road if they can make it, and they pitted the same time. Well, I guess Hess and Midori didn't, but Steven Taylor and Buffoli in particular, they all came down pit road thinking they could not make it, or the gamble was too much of one. Andrew Hayes coming down pit road. So now Tyler Tucker has a complete lap, pretty much. 36 seconds. He can see the guy that he has to worry about getting by him and Alex Buffoli. Does Tyler Tucker back off here? He has yet to do so. I think, again, it's a big mistake on the part of Tyler Tucker. I think he should have begun conserving. Well, never mind. Here he comes down pit road. Tyler Tucker going to come down for a very brief splash. He'll get on the binders. He'll get it down to 55 miles per hour. Now it's a race to cruise. How much fuel does Tyler Tucker need for 6 laps around the Indianapolis Motor Speedway? Can he get onto and off of pit road in less time than it takes Alex Buffoli to circulate? Buffoli now midway down the back straightaway.
Car just coming into pit road. It's the 55 of Tucker. He'll hit his marks. Car crew putting gas into the number 55. He's underway. It is going to be tight as they work off of pit road. 4.9 seconds worth of fuel for Tucker. As Tucker back out onto the access road, he'll get on the gas pedal. It'll be interesting to see if he'll be able to come out in front of Buffoli as they come down the front stretch.
Buffoli working through turns 1 and 2. Tucker off the access road in turn number 2. It's about a 25 to 30 mile an hour difference at that point in the speedway, as Tucker starting to try to get the hamsters pedaling into turn 3. He'll have the preferred position, but here comes Buffoli with the momentum through turns 3 and 4. Tyler Tucker for the moment going to hold over the top spot. 5 laps to go this time in Indianapolis.
Who would have thought it would come down to this with just 5 laps to go? We saw pit strategy. Here comes Buffoli. Buffoli going to take a look down low on the 55 of Tucker. Tucker's going to give him the lane, but that will be Buffoli out front. Now will Tucker be able to tuck in behind and stay with him with just 5 laps to go? About 4.5 laps left here at the Indy Motor Speedway, and it will be Buffoli showing the way with Tucker in second. Your top two duo doing the dance for the checkered flag and the drink the milk at the end of this race.
And look at Tucker all over the gearbox of Buffoli. He's starting to make him nervous. He's trying to make him loose. He's trying to do something to rattle Alex Buffoli, the defending champion of the Trading Paints 500K. Across the stripe now, 10 miles to go in this one. Here goes Tucker to the inside. Looks like we're going to see a couple of trades for the lead. The question is, who's going to be on the right side of that when we come to the checkered flag?
The gloves are off. No more fuel conservation. They have enough fuel to make it to the end, as both cars have been on pit road. 4 laps to go here at Indy, and it is Tucker showing the way. Wonder if Buffoli wanted to see if he could make that pass work and to hold it on to the last lap as he looks down low into turn number 4. Off of turn number 4, it'll be the 55 of Tucker showing the way with a 0.8 of Buffoli. Buffoli's going to peek down low as he'll look to go by him on the front stretch with just 3 laps to go.
It looks like Buffoli can't quite get the job done on the slingshot to get ahead at the line, but Tucker, it appeared last time, was able to. So now it's a matter of timing your pass correctly, and if you're Tyler Tucker, you know you can make it happen, but you've got to be patient. You don't want to show your cards before it's too late, and you don't want to put yourself in a spot where Buffoli has the last lap. Tucker, again in turn 3, he'll suck up right to the rear wing. The gearbox of Buffoli slips. This time off of turn number 4, they'll come down to the stripe. 2 laps to go at Indianapolis. 5 miles left in this one. Here goes Buffoli to the bottom. He'll throw the preemptive block. He'll make Tucker go around the outside.
Side by side on the turn number 1, we saw that earlier, as Tucker's going to get out of the groove and lose some ground. Maybe that's all Buffoli needs with just 2 laps to go. It'll be a run. Tucker will have to hit his marks perfect every lap to get to the back bumper to try to get to the victory here with just 2 laps to go.
The gap might be a little... Caution is out! Trouble in the speedway, that's going to do it. Race is over. Joe Cervoni in turn number 2. He has met the concrete, and that's all she wrote as Cervoni came back off the pit lane. It looked like major issues. The Red Bull, actually Cervoni had issues in turn 1, had to try to correct it in the access lane, and then lost control in turn number 2. So Joe Cervoni, the Red Bull car, going to be the car that brings out the yellow and settles this one once and for all. And assuming that he can make it back to the stripe without running out of fuel or having any sort of other issue, Alex Buffoli is going to end up winning his 2nd consecutive Trading Paints 500K.
What an amazing race. Feel bad for Tucker in second. Had this one all figured out, had the cards handled out, but Buffoli, the class of the field and 2-time defending champion of this race now.
Don't give it to him just yet. He's going to cross the flag. But Tyler Tucker, you know he's got to be thinking now, what if I'd have went to the bottom on the front straightaway? What if I'd have went even lower than Buffoli did when he tried to pick his lane on the front straightaway? Because then Tucker would have had the advantage, and then Tucker probably would have been at the lead with the moment the caution came out. Oh, the what-ifs are going to play through Tyler Tucker's mind as the field limps now through turns 3 and 4, what seems like at a very, very crawl, a snail's pace through this end of the speedway. Buffoli, Tucker, Andrew Hess recovered to finish 3rd, and it looks like Julian Midori will come back with a top 5 finish as well. Hayes, Taylor, and will be on the lead lap. Cervoni can be credited a lap down in this one as well once all is said and done. But albeit behind the pace car, he doesn't care. He had to outduel Tyler Tucker to make it happen. He had to make a late race maneuver, a couple of quick passes and fast decisions, but they timed out right. They worked out to his benefit. And for the 2nd consecutive year, across the yard of bricks and the checkered flag, Alex Buffoli will win here in Indianapolis. Tyler Tucker finishes 2nd. Hess, Midori, and Hayes conclude the top 5. And my oh my oh, what a race to the checker that was. Back and forth, slingshot for slingshot. Buffoli and Tucker all about timing. And unfortunately, it came down to a late race yellow flag. But man, oh man, either one of those cars could have had a shot at it.
What a great finish, and we were setting up for a good finish down there in the turn, off of turn 4, but the yellow flag coming out with a 29 of Cervoni, bringing out the last yellow, and So tough break there, but what a great race. Court bringing the action here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and what a great race. Congratulations out to Alex Buffoli.
So Buffoli going to be able to celebrate this one, although it might have been a little harder earned than maybe it was last year. Hard to really say. Either way, he gets to sip the milk for the second consecutive time here at Indianapolis. And I had somebody ask me the other day when they saw a motocross racer, supercross racer in victory lane with muscle milk. They said, "Ew, milk after a race, that wouldn't be very good." I said, "Oh no, you don't understand. When you get to drink real milk after a race, it is the sweetest tasting milk you will ever have in your life. I don't care how worn out, how sweaty, how anything you are. That is the best taste any race driver could ever have after 500 miles, or in this case, 500 kilometers."
Definitely, and it's going to be twice as sweet as its second win of this race for Alex Buffoli as he comes down the start-finish line once again. Probably going to do some celebratory burnouts, and it was well-deserved by Alex Buffoli.
So Buffoli going to come down, and we'll stay with it for just a moment as we anticipate will do a victory celebration. And, well, he tried the donuts. That didn't quite work out for him. So Buffoli going to be doing victory skid marks down the front straightaway. Either way, it doesn't matter. We're going to take a break here in LSRTV. We'll be back in just a little bit with the post-race show here, live from the Trading Paints 500K for the championship online racing teams. Welcome back to Indianapolis Motor Speedway and the Court Trading Paints 500K. Wow, what a race we just saw. 10 cars finishing after 27 took the green flag. Alex Buffoli, Tyler Tucker, Andrew Hess, the top 3. Julian Medor, Andrew Hayes, and Stephen Taylor finishing 6th. Riley Roush 7th. Eli Salami 8th. Scott Mullen 9th. And Patrick Healy finishing in the 10th spot. Those are the only 10 cars to be running at the checkered flag. And it looks like, I do believe that Al has caught up with 3rd place finisher Andrew Hess. Al, I'm sure he's got to be wondering now what he could have done different.
He definitely is, Andrew. Good run and not bad for your first start here, rookie start at the Indy 500. And what a good race you had. Tell us about it.
Yeah, thanks, Al. It was good to finally get one in. Last year I ended up qualifying, and I broke my leg in a freak accident testing. So it's nice to get it under my belt, and wish the strategy would have worked a little better, but it is what it is, and it was a blast to drive.
Definitely an entertaining race. Walk us through it, the strategy playing out. Tony and I were going back and forth in the booth up there, just wondering who's going to do what, how long can you guys stretch it? Were you guys playing with the fuel mixtures at all?
We didn't really touch the fuel mixer so much. We used our gearing, so we were able to ride around early in the race there and turn it up when we needed it, but we basically just worked it back like a road course. So lap 91, I think, was our window, and anything after that we were good to go. So we tried to play it backwards versus that, and we just missed the caution by about, 6 laps there at the end.
Definitely a good run, and not bad for your first start in this race. Who makes this all possible for you?
Definitely Excalibur Racing puts together great cars, great call on pit strategy, and our sponsor General Electric and iRace for Life.
Well, congratulations on a podium finish here at Indianapolis, and I believe Tony Stevens has caught up with our second place finisher. Here's Tony.
Yes, Andrew Hess, 18 laps led over the course of the evening. Had one of the fastest couple of times in the entire race, but unfortunately came up just a couple of laps short on that fuel strategy that we documented. He and Julian Medor, they, just didn't quite work out for him. One guy who I think had a very, very good shot at winning finished the chicken wagon, the Zaxby's machine, in the 2nd spot. That's Tyler Tucker, and Al's caught up with him.
Hey, Tyler, and what a great run you had there. Just caught the caution just at the wrong spot. But great strategy. Walk us through the last few laps there.
Yeah, we had a good race there towards the end with Alex. Just a bad break there with the caution. Thanks to Joseph Cervone for that one. But, on that final pit stop, we took probably about 5 gallons of fuel just to be safe, and we ended up having like 3 laps left at the end, but it was just too little too late.
Going in the outside corner, would you have done anything different on that last lap before yellow came out? So he gave you the outside, but would you have cut underneath him, you think, if you had to do it all over again?
Definitely, I would have cut it inside and probably would have went no holds bar into turn 1, but it is what it is. Can't really complain now, though.
Well, you end up with a second place finish. Who makes it all possible for you?
That would be my fabulous sponsors, Zaxby's Chicken, and my team, FS3 Racing Technology.
Well, congratulations on your second place finish. Coming up just a little bit short here tonight, Tyler Tucker, your second place finish, and I believe Tony Stevens has caught up with our winner.
Certainly have caught up with the driver of the number 08 machine, and for the 2nd consecutive year, Alex Buffoli, you have made it to one of the most hallowed places on earth, Victory Lane, here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. But the question is, how did you do it this year?
All this goes to my friend and my teammate, Riley Roush. He called the pit strategy perfectly on that. Without him, I would have been sucking wind, probably, or have taken way too much gas at the last pit stop.
And we speculated about that. We never saw you make a long run, and here you came down pit road 20-some laps into a fuel stop on lap 52. And we did the math and figured you can make it on one more stop from there if you stretched it pretty much to the end. Did you trust Riley on that one? I mean, that was a pretty big move to make that early in the race.
I never had a doubt. I've raced with Riley for a number of years now, and he's called pitch strategy in a number of races that I've either won or gotten very good finishes in that I wouldn't have otherwise. So when he makes a call, I know there's no second guessing it.
Last caution flag came out, and it was just outside of your pit window. So all that you had set up to do was then all for naught. Did you think that you can make it, or was it pretty much one of those deals if you were going to have to come down pit road no matter what, even if you tried to stretch it?
I'm not quite sure, actually. I have a feeling I was going to have to make another stop, more or less. But I didn't have to worry about that.
Nope, you really didn't have to worry about that, to say the least. What does it mean? Well, actually, let me back up. And then you got Tyler Tucker. You two were dueling it out coming to the checkered flag. You kept swapping slingshot for slingshot off turn number 4. How much of that was trying to put into your mind what you needed to do in the last couple of laps, and how much of that was sheer just racing your guts out?
It was a fine line of both, for sure. And Tyler Tucker is one of the most aggressive and competitive drivers in this series, and I have a tremendous amount of respect for him. And I know he was he did not like seeing that caution come out, but I would have loved to have raced it to the end with him on that.
I think we would have loved to have seen that as well. It was going to be close to the stripe no matter who ended up winning. But you know what? Hey, sometimes those things are going to happen in big-time IndyCar racing. What does it mean for you to go to victory lane here at Indianapolis for a second consecutive year? Because, as we said in the broadcast, it's so difficult to win here, to have all the stars and the cards line up and everything work your way. What does it mean now to not only be a one-time champion as you were last year, but a two-time consecutive champion of the Trading Pates 500K?
I am at a loss for words, honestly. It was hard enough to win this race once, and to do it 2 years in a row, and each year it just gets harder and harder to win. So I'm just at a loss for words.
Well, I'll ask you one more question, so maybe you can conjure up a couple more sentences at the very least. Who all does make it happen? Who all got you to victory lane?
I have to give a huge shout out to my team owner, John Dragonetti. Shout out to his little newborn son, too, John Brennan Dragonetti, who I heard was not feeling too well this evening. But hopefully he's okay. My team, Smoke Racing, best team by far, in my opinion. Control Freak, I'm running Control Freak Infinity on my car this time, as I was last race also. Riley Roush, Eli Salami, Brett Black, Braden Oakley, Jacob Newman, the entire admin team at Court, and many, many more.
Well, on behalf of everybody here at LSRTV, I want to say congratulations and look forward to trying to see you defend the title again next year, Alex.
Thank you very much.
Alex Buffoli, two-time and consecutive champion of the Trading Paints 500K. And Al, what a race tonight. It got off to a little bit of a rough start. We saw a lot of guys having their nights cut short early, but once this field got in a rhythm and they started getting on with it, it was a fun race to watch. We saw just outright racing, side-by-side, wheel-to-wheel. We saw pit strategy. We saw pure determination. We saw a little bit of bad luck work its way in there as well, a little bit of heartbreak, a little bit of thrill of victory as well. I don't think we could have asked for anything else in this one.
It definitely met my expectations and went beyond. What a great race here in the Court Division IndyCars, and just what an amazing race, especially to Alex. Congratulations. He took in what an up and down night, caught down a lap down, used pit strategy, used the cautions right, and look, it ends up in victory lane. Who would have ever thought that would have happened, especially at Indy? Such a hard racetrack to catch a break at, and especially after being down a lap, to come back to win. So what a great job. Congratulations to everybody that finished it. That's a feat in itself.
Certainly is. So once again, our congratulations go to Alex Buffoli, and for that matter, everybody that finished the Trading Paints 500K. Can't leave out the rest of the top finishers, Tyler Tucker, Andrew Hess and company, and everybody that pitched in to make this event happen. Of course, on behalf of our producer Laura, Al Smith, the entire court staff, including David Damboys, for having us here in Indianapolis, want to say good night, and once again, good job to Alex Buffoli. We'll see you next time at the races. Good night, everybody.